Hey, what's up, Fit Fam? Josh here. It's that time of month again. We've already gone over workout A. Now we're going over workout B for February in our strength club. So for this workout, you can see the template. You know the structure, very similar to the way we always do things. We're going to break things down into pieces. So we're going to start here with our ramping. Again, as a reminder, ramping technically is an acronym for range of motion, activation, movement, preparation. But we also, which just basically means doing things to get your body moving a little bit better. We also think of ramping as that in that sense of let's kind of build up so we can start from zero, because sometimes we're coming in either early or after work. Maybe we're not feeling it that day, but we know we got to get in here and do that work. Let's start with some things that are a little easier, a little gentler on the body so we can build up that energy mentally and physically to do the stuff that's going to come up after this. So you know how we do it. We're going to start with those hangs. Again, great for shoulder mobility, great for decompressing that spine when you're and grip strength, obviously, which is a huge indicator of longevity. Focus on your breathing here. Long, deep breaths. Fill that torso up with as much air as you can, expanding in every direction like a big balloon. Hold it for a couple seconds and then slowly, like you're gonna just let that air out of the balloon real slow. And then as you keep pushing all that air, you're gonna feel those abs wall up here, which is an awesome feeling as well. Use those legs as much as you need to, but only as much as you need to, because we still want to keep getting better. You can get to the place where you're hanging for that full 30 seconds. Sometimes you need to use those legs to get there though. You keep challenging yourself, you will get stronger here. We're gonna match that up with our cyclist lunges this month. So again, this here, we are focusing on the knee going out here. This is this exercise, and the purpose for us in the ramping is just to kind of what we call lube up those joints. So we want to get those knees feeling comfortable. Now here you can see I'm using a slant board. What we have found for a lot of people, in where we will start this month, is we're going to use the boxes. The reason the boxes help some people get a deeper range of motion is because when I'm using the slant board, you can see the range of motion of my back leg as well. It puts a lot of weight on that front leg, and we can feel a lot of tension in those knees. As we use a box and raise that leg up, more of that weight is going to be put on that back leg to support us, which is going to take some of the pressure off of your knees. So if you're struggling with that range of motion, and what I mean by that is you can see here, my knee is going out over those toes. See how my thigh is actually touching the back of my calf? In squatting terms, sometimes we would refer to this as an ass to grass situation or position, but it's in a lunge. But I want to feel that back of my thigh touching my calf. So if you can do that on the slant board, that's great. But notice how, because that's happening because those knees are going out past my toes. Those joints are getting warmed up. You can see here I'm also using the squat rack if needed to support yourself if you feel like you're losing your balance. This exercise is so valuable for getting your body moving better. So don't be afraid of these. You don't have to get a bunch of reps in. In fact, I've been talking for 2 to 3 times as long as you're actually going to do this exercise, okay? So we'll get 2 sets of hangs in, 1 set of cyclist lunges on each leg, exploring that range of motion there. Then the second group of exercises for our ramping, we're gonna head over to the blue floor and we're gonna do our anti-rotational glute bridges here. So we're gonna use that band. We want tension in that band, enough tension that you feel like you're resisting that rotation. Then push the ground away from you, squeezing those glutes as you drive those hips up toward the ceiling. I want you to focus on pushing through those heels here, squeeze those glutes tight. And again, the further you step away, the more challenging it's going to be for the anti-rotational aspect of this. But all we're really trying to do here is force the abs to work and keep those hips in line as that band is pulling at us. So it's not going to be a super intense exercise, but you can create more intensity by focusing on squeezing those glutes really tight and keeping those hands straight out in front of you. Get your lats engaged as well so that every muscle in our torso is doing some work here. Abs are walled up nice and tight here. The second exercise is our band half kneeling alternating rows. Again, this is one of my favorites. We come back to this one usually every 3 months because this is a great exercise. For one, we get a stretch through the chest by squeezing those shoulder blades. That's called a residual stretch. So as one muscle is working, the anterior or the antagonistic muscle is going to be getting a stretch. So as I press, chest is working, back muscles get a stretch. As I pull, I'm activating those back muscles and getting it stretched through the chest, because one thing we've seen for a lot of people is we get tight through our chest and our shoulders. We get weak through our back. So we need to spend time waking those muscles up. So this row is just saying, hey, back muscles, we need you to wake up. We got some work to do today. The half kneeling position allows us to activate that glute by squeezing that glute nice and tight, driving. It's almost gonna feel like you're pushing your hip. Now you'll see here, I'm not pushing my hip forward as I row, but in my head I'm thinking squeeze that glute and push that hip forward as I row. But because that glute's already squeezed, it's not going anywhere. I'm feeling that stretch through my hip flexor, because again, when the glute fires, the hip flexor gets a bit of a residual stretch there as well, driving that front big toe into the floor. And we're alternating those arms here. Second set, you're gonna go to the other knee. So we'll get 2 sets in, 1 on each side, and get those back muscles firing, get those hip flexors stretch out, get those glutes firing as well here. So get a couple sets of each. Now we're gonna move on to some of our power development here. And for this month, we're gonna start with our sled squat row. Again, this is one of my favorite exercises. Total body exercise here. Sitting back, remember here, we want the sled to hold us up a little bit. So I'm not leaning forward. As you notice here, if you can see my torso, I'm upright as I sit. I'm not leaning forward. I'm gonna drive back now. I'm letting suspension trainer hold me up. And so there's not a lot of weight on that sled. I weigh way more than the weight that's on that sled and the sled combined. There is some intention for me not to fall here, but as I drive through, I'm gonna use those hips first. Remember, the legs start the drive, the arms get to get work in after that momentum's built up. So get a good squeeze at the end. Every rep, again, not thinking about we're gonna go all the way down the floor. And for most people, that's gonna be somewhere between 5 and 8 reps, sometimes a little bit more, but most of the time between 5 and 8. But I want you to think about 1 rep at a time. Don't rush to get in. And as you can see here, I'm getting very intentional. We're making a video, but this is how I want to do it each time anyway. This is how I do it when I'm doing my workout if there was no camera around. Reset, yank that fucking sled. That's what you gotta think about every time. Like your kid is in the grocery store having their tantrum because you won't buy him something, and you just gotta grab him by the collar and say, get the hell over here. Then you throw them across the room, kick them a couple times if that's what they need, right? But anyway, let's just start with the momentum that you get from yanking them first. So we're gonna go one way down the floor here, and then we'll push the sled back. The sled shouldn't be so heavy on the push because this movement here is where we're gonna get a lot of weight in, but we're gonna push that sled back down the floor. And I'm glad I mentioned something there because I also wanted to remember, we want speed on the sled. If you are trying to muscle this sled and it's not moving very far, it's not moving very fast, it's too heavy. This is designed, the way we're using it for this workout is designed to get all those muscles firing. It's like we're turning on the light, flipping that switch, turning the lights on in the house, right? So think speed, not weight. Now, if you find that sled's about to run your toes over on every single pull, it's a little too light. You could go heavier there, but we want to think power on this one. Fast movements. You're moving fast, sled's moving fast, all those muscles are firing. Once we're done with that, we're gonna hit up that skier for 10 pulls here. So again, using your whole body for this one, up to those tippy toes, reaching high, sit back, use that body weight for momentum, deep breath in, push that air as you're pulling. Now also notice here, I'm intentional with those reps. 1 good rep at a time. Now I'm not moving slow, but I'm also not thinking pull go, pull go, pull go, pull go. I want to think on each rep, I'm reaching high, and every pull, just like on the sled, I'm pulling as hard as I can. So be intentional with your tempo and the power that you're putting in these reps. We'll get 2 sets of these in. I want you working hard enough that you do want 1 to 2 minutes to recover before you go again. And don't worry, depending on the number of people there, you might have to wait 1 or 2 minutes. I think that's actually, I like when that's built in because of the number of people, because some of you try to get things done quickly. You'll get more out of it if you give yourself a little bit of time to recover here. So once we got those done, everything's firing, everybody's feeling good. We had our heart rates up for a couple minutes, but we come back down and now we can focus on our strength supersets. So again, for those of you that are unfamiliar, a superset is 2 exercises, complementary exercises, so similar muscle groups, similar movement patterns that are done back to back with as little rest in between as possible. This is going to help us build some muscular endurance, and the way we're going to put them together, we're going to build some strength and then challenge those muscles for a longer period of time on the second exercise. So we have our deadlifts to get started. You can use the trap bar or those kettlebells. Again, just like in the first video, I talked about the chin-ups in workout A. The deadlift is another exercise where I would rather you err on the side of going a little bit lighter and perfecting your form as opposed to heavier to make it harder. Now, if you're moving well and you want to try heavier weight, that's great. I want you to challenge yourself with the weight. But if you're someone who just thinks you should go heavier, you want it to feel harder, if your form is not great on the deadlift, there's some things that can go wrong there. I want to protect your lower back as we're working these. So err on the side of a little bit lighter, not too light. You don't want to make it light. You don't want it to be easy. I want you to walk away thinking every single rep was a good rep, and I never felt that there was any doubt that I was going to get one. So challenge yourself here, driving through those hips, chest up, shoulders down and away from those ears. When you get those lats engaged, you can see Coach Matt, those shoulders are down and away. They're not moving on him. That's going to make you more rigid through your torso. I know people don't like to do the grunt. You better do it quietly then, because you need to get those abs engaged here. Matt's doing a great job on these. Nice flat back. Notice also how his shoulders are coming up and his hips are moving forward at the same time. It's not that his chest comes up first and then his hips, or his hips then his back. They're moving together, which means all those muscles are working together here, which takes more work and takes strain off of that lower back as you're working here. So great job on those, Coach Matt. If you want to use the kettlebells, obviously you're welcome to use those. You can do the single kettlebell here. Coach T here, same thing. Notice how shoulders down and away. As she starts to drive up, hips and shoulders are moving at the same time here, nice and controlled. That kettlebell is between her feet. A lot of people start to get that kettlebell in front of their toes. We want that kettlebell like right in the center, right matched up with our center of gravity, so that the closer you keep that kettlebell to your center and between those feet, the less strain on that lower back as well. You can also go to the double kettlebell deadlift when you need a heavier weight. For most people, by the time that they're strong enough for like a double heavy kettlebell, or around that 40 to 50 per 40 to 50 pound kettlebells, you're also probably ready for the trap bar if you choose to. I also like to use the double kettlebells from time to time, but as you start to go heavier with those kettlebells, they keep getting bigger and you're running out of space. The trap bar allows us to hold heavier weight without having to go super wide with our feet. But again, it's what you're comfortable with. And if you haven't done the trap bar before and you feel like you're up for it, let the coach know so that we can show you first and help you as you're working this one. Spent a lot of time on that. We're only doing 5 reps though. Second exercise, so as soon as you get your 5 deadlifts done, we're moving over to the sled for our crossover drag. So you can see Coach Cat here leaning away from the sled, crossing that leg over, driving through that foot, keeping that shoulder down and away from here, which means we need the lat engaged here. Again, I think Coach Matt loves this exercise. He also likes the combinations that we do with some of these, like that half kneeling alternating row, the sled squat rows, about getting those lats and back muscles firing, so that when you're in this position, I want you feeling very rigid through your torso so that you can drive with those legs here. So remember, as you're doing this, we're gonna go down and back. You're facing the same direction both times. So if you're facing the north wall on the way down, you're gonna face the north wall on the way back. If you don't know what north wall is, the coach will tell you as well. All you gotta remember is whatever you've been looking at on the way down, you're gonna keep looking at that same wall on the way back. That way we work both sides. This is also an exercise where you're not gonna be able to go as heavy as a typical sled push and drag, because the muscles aren't gonna be working together the way they do on those other ones. We're working more lateral movement here, so different muscles that we'll be working. I do want you to challenge yourself with the weight though, so don't be afraid to take that weight up if you feel like you move a little bit heavier. You'll also know if it's too heavy if you have to stop as you're moving down the floor. If it's getting so heavy that you can't make it all the way down, it's a little too heavy, let's make it a little bit lighter. And when you do it well, you'll be able to get to that heavier weight sooner than if you keep just trying to force it and not do it as well as you can. So again, intentional reps here. So we're gonna hit 2 to 3 sets of those, and we're gonna alternate with our dumbbell bench press and our landmine half kneeling overhead presses for our second superset. So as we're working that this month, we're going to work that flat bench press here, both hands at the same time, just like we did on the incline. Wall up those abs. Notice how those dumbbells are coming down next to my chest, underneath my armpits, not over my shoulders and over my face here. I don't rotate my hands as much as some other people do. You can see there's a little bit of rotation. What I'm focusing on though is my wrists staying over my elbows. That is going to allow you to really press that weight with the most strength. If your elbows flare out as you're pressing, you now have to straighten them out as you start to press. Makes you weaker as you're pressing. So this is where the coaches are going to try to help you as well. Take your time, think squeeze, pull those dumbbells down with intention, press them back up, push your back into the floor, wall up those, or into the bench, wall up those abs, drive those feet into the floor. Big deep breath in the way down. Push that air out as you press those dumbbells up here. And then when you're done, obviously you can either sit up with them or uncurl them down to the floor here. We're going for 5 heavy reps. Now I will say, in theory, this 5 rep weight should be heavier than what you were doing for 5 reps on the incline bench, but that 5 rep weight on that incline bench, especially in week 1, maybe a little bit lighter, is a great place to start to find out how it's working. Remember, in week 1, we're learning the routine, and we're going to learn what weights work for us. Weeks 2 and 3, we build, get a little bit better, maybe add some more weight, add some, get a second or third set in. Week 4 is where we're going to really try to challenge ourselves to get the most out of it. So make sure you're looking for weights that really do make it tough. Once you get done with your 5 reps on the bench, we're going to go over to the landmine bar and work our half kneeling overhead press here. So squeezing that back glute, wall those abs. Again, very similar position to we were in for that half kneeling alternating row here. Glute squeeze nice and tight. Also notice how the position is very important here. You want to get under the bar. My hand is over my shoulder, just in front of it, but over the shoulder top, not down in front of my chest. Squeeze that back glute, pressing up. Notice at the end, I'm not trying to rotate. I'm trying to reach as far as I can at the end, so I really get that work in. This exercise, again, after you've come off the bench, these muscles, some of these muscles have already been working. So this exercise is going to be a little bit lighter than maybe what you're used to for like a 5-10 rep weight, or excuse me, a heavy 10 rep weight. But 10 reps, good number of reps. So what you're going to feel is when you get to 8, maybe 7, but 8, 9, 10, that's where you should really start to feel like these muscles are burning, and I just got to get this last rep in. We still want quality reps though. So you'll do 5 on the bench and then 10 half kneeling presses on each arm. You're also going to be pressing with the same arm as the knee on the floor. That really helps us get that glute squeeze, get a nice drive through there, drive that front big toe into the floor here. 5 and 10. We're going to get at least 2 sets in the first week. Weeks 2, 3, and 4, as you're getting more familiar, getting more comfortable, you should be able to get a 3rd set in. But also day to day, it's going to depend on how you're feeling there, but we'll get at least 2 great sets in. So once we've worked through our strength training, we're going to move on to our last group of exercises, our finisher, if you will. For this one, we're going to start with those chin-ups. I like to work chin-ups on both strength club workouts because I feel like it's a good opportunity to keep building that strength. Now, when we work it as a finisher, remember that's probably where it's gonna be a little bit more assistance or keep it lighter than when we work it as the strength exercise early in the workout, because a lot of the muscles already been working. We've used up some energy already. Also on these chin-ups, err on the side of making them a little bit easier to perfect your form, getting your chest to the bar, whether you use the chin-up grip or the pull-up grip. Use that moment, or use I want you to use those bands to get that full range of motion as opposed to making them heavy and hard. I know that's a tough place to be with some of those, and I know you guys are hard workers, so there's times when you're motivated to just make it really tough, but you want to get at least 5 quality reps in. If you can do 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, don't stop at 5. But if you can do 8, 9, or 10, that's a good indication that you can take that weight up or make it a little more challenging and find that 5 or 6 rep weight again. So we got 5 to 10 reps there. Then we're going to get 5 or 10 kettlebell swings in. Again, you can do those dead stop swings. You see Coach Cat parking it, hiking it, swinging it on each rep. Take your time. Keep those hips low. Crisp swings here. driving through those heels, stopping it at that chest height. Again, I might tell you belly button height if I see that your hands are going a little bit higher, but we're gonna go 5 dead stop swings, or you can do 10 repetitions here, but really again, focus on the quality of the swings here. For those repetition swings, you're gonna see here, we just pop those hips nice and smooth here. Deep breath in, pushing that air out, whether it's the dead stop swings or the repetition swing. So it's either 5 or 10. Again, depending on how you're feeling, you don't have to go heavy with the kettlebell. I want you to feel like it's a smooth motion, not a muscling motion. I don't want you to feel like you're really having to take that kettlebell and hike it back and throw it and put everything into it. But you feel like you can do 10 of these very well, walk away from them. The last exercise, we're gonna hit up that Echo bike. Now this is the hardest the Echo bike's ever gonna be because you already just did these 2 exercises that can be pretty tough. I want you to get on there and I want you to stay positive with your mindset. Challenge yourself, track those times, see what you've been doing. If it's been 18 seconds, can you get it down to 17 or 15? If it's 15, can you get down to 14 or 12? If you're trying to get down below that 10-second mark, that's okay too. What can you do to challenge yourself? Again, day to day, that's gonna be different, that's okay. But think about it, with all these exercises, think about what is happening in your head as you approach each exercise. If you're telling yourself that, I don't like this is hard, this sucks, hey, everything's hard, right? You have to choose which hard. But doing these things hard here make everything outside of the gym feel easier as well. So be aware of that, because a lot of times what drains us of energy and our strength is our mindset, because we're anticipating how hard a thing is going to be, and it is going to be hard. But you're tough and you can do this, and it will keep getting easier as you keep challenging yourself. You can ask anybody who's been doing any of these things with us. Now, those people that come in with that intention to know, I'm trying to keep getting better, they're going to say it happens faster. But I'll also tell you, there are some people that come in and they've struggled at times with the intention and the attitude of like, I'm gonna try to make this tough and get better. Even if they're only going 80%, they're gonna keep getting better, and things do get a little easier. And that's not to put anybody down, it's just to say that as long as your focus is on, let's get better at these things, and not like, I hate this, let's just get it over with, you are gonna get more out of all these exercises and these workouts. So, if you need any help with that, if you find yourself in the wrong headspace, remember, our members are very supportive, so maybe talk to them. Also, talk to a coach. Remember, we're not there to yell at you. We're not there to tell you you're weak or you're being lazy. We're there to remind you that, hey, if you want to try it heavier, we'll motivate you. We'll try to cheer you on. Maybe you need some assistance as well. But don't be afraid to talk to somebody, because the people that usually struggle the most are the ones that stay inside their own heads, don't express to anybody else, and try to do everything on their own. We are here to help you. Our members, you guys are awesome. You love supporting each other. It's great to see you cheering each other on as well. So talk to another member. Let them know, like, man, today I'm not feeling it. That's okay. But if you're telling yourself, hey, I know I got to do another set. I feel like I could go heavier, but I'm not quite sure. I'm a little scared. Nothing wrong with that. You tell somebody, they're going to say, hey, let's try it. Worst thing that happens is you find out it's too heavy, or you need to slow down because you are in control. But you're going to get more out of this when you find yourself searching or looking for the ways to make it a little tougher but still do it well. Okay, so if you guys have any questions about any of these exercises, please reach out, ask the coaches, ask during the sessions as well. Leave a comment or anything if you have any questions. We want to help you get the most out of this. Let's have an awesome month, everybody. And it's leap year, so we get one extra day of Strength Club this month. Woohoo! Okay, love you, bye.